What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ and Buck with you on a Friday. Buck, what's going on, man?
And not too much, man. Friday is always a fun day. We got a good football weekend coming up, so I'm excited about all of it.
Yeah, fun weekend of games, including a London game, Jets and Vikings. That's going to be 9:30 a.m. Eastern on NFL Network and on NFL Plus. So be sure to look out for that one. We're in the middle of postseason for baseball, Buck. It feels like right now, heading into the fifth week of the NFL season, with the changes, going to 17 games and then going down to 3 preseason games and guys not really playing much in the preseason. I feel like week 5, I think that's a good marker to kind of see where everybody's at. And, you kind of look at these standings where we are right now heading into week 5. I was trying to think of, for today's show, I want to kind of do some surprises, right? And so I've got some individuals, what they're doing that we'll hit on, and maybe there's something we can learn from those individual performances. But I also wanted to get to you on the team thing. So I'm going to give you. How about, you remember when we used to do the what was the thing we did on Path to the Draft where it was like, it was like thumbs up, thumbs down, like
Okay.
Something like that. So we'll go that route. I'm gonna give you some team things, like big surprise. How about big surprise? No surprise, and then maybe just kind of if you got like nothing on it. If you just think it's kind of new.
Right.
You ready? All right. So let's start. Let's go first of all in the AFC East. The Miami Dolphins being 1-3.
Big surprise. Big surprise because DJ, we've been told for so long that the weapons around Tua are propping him up. That anybody could jump in this offense and have the kind of success with the speed and the playmakers that they have around the quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa goes out, and this offense is sputtering. You have a frustrated Tyreek Hill. You have other guys who can't get the rock. I am surprised because I thought this team had some of the most explosive firepower, most explosive weaponry that we've seen in the league, and they have fallen apart without just starting quarterback.
Yeah, no, I think it shows you the value that Tua possesses. I also, the bad news just keeps coming from the Miami Dolphins the other day. Jalen Phillips, season-ending knee injury, man, that is brutal for a very talented young player who's just been really kind of just ravaged by injuries so far early in his career. But I'm with you in terms of the surprise that they're 1-3. But I'm not surprised based off what they had behind Tua that this is, house of cards, at this point in time. We should have seen that coming. We should, that's something maybe we don't pay enough attention to in the offseason, is just like, can any of these teams, like what teams can absorb some injuries here, especially at the important positions?
Yeah, not many. And the thing that I worry about with the Miami Dolphins is, man, how can you not have a thorough insurance policy against Tua when you dealt with this before? Like that should have been something that should have been day one. So now you roll the dice, it doesn't work out for you. And you're trying to salvage some stuff without your top quarterback. It is hard to do in the league without a QB1.
Let's go to the next division here. Is how much of a surprise that the Pittsburgh Steelers are the only team with a winning record in a division I thought would be the best division in football this year, the AFC North?
Yeah, I think the records are reflective of it being the best division in football, even though you got a bunch of people sitting it right at 500. Look, the football that is played to the eye is solid, rock'em sock'em robot football. And you're going to have to deal with how each of these teams bring a little physicality and toughness to the table. The thing about it, the Pittsburgh Steelers being 3-1, little surprised, but I was probably optimistic about Justin Fields if he had his opportunity. I think, to me, the fact that it took 2 games for the Baltimore Ravens to find their identity.
They found it, though.
And then unleash it on the foes. Yeah, it's a different game we're talking about now.
Yeah, Cincinnati and Cleveland both being 1-3. It feels Cincinnati's 1-3 feels different. Like this is they're going to be okay. Cleveland's 1-3, just kind of.
I gotta, DJ. I gotta ask you this, man, because it's one of the more fascinating things, man. I go back and I look at all my notes on Deshaun Watson and all this. I don't know if I've ever seen on the field a player's game change like Deshaun Watson's game.
Fall apart.
Yeah. I've never. I mean, this dude was so good in Houston, so good on a bad team in Houston, and he cannot get right in Cleveland. It is one of the more remarkable stories that old scouts will talk about in terms of like just. I can't even say it's a miss, right? He can't be categorized as a miss in terms of league because he's 3-time Pro Bowl. However, last 2-3 years have not been great. Not great.
I mean, look, this is obviously you can't talk about that without talking about the fact of what happened with him off the field and then missing time on top of that. And it's a reminder that, look, these things aren't, separate. What goes on in your own life away from football 100% impacts what you put out there on the football field. I don't know how you can explain that without mentioning that. Obviously, new team, new offense. Maybe that doesn't fit him as well. Goes from indoors to outdoors, but no, just as a player, it doesn't resemble anything like he used to be in Houston. And I think that's you have to acknowledge that's a big, big part of it.
Yeah, that is a big, big part of it. And it's one of the things that we talk about, like the character, the football character, the moral character, whatever the character is, like really trying to understand what makes guys tick. And it's crazy. I don't know if I've ever seen anything that has gone so left so fast.
Well, don't say that yet, because the next topic is going to be the team that you work for being 0-4 in the AFC South with the Jags. I mean, how shocked are you? Did you envision going into this year that they'd be 0-4?
No.
Coming off the way it finished last year?
No, not 0-4. Thought it would be tough sledding to open the gate, but then kind of got positive and optimistic after you saw them jump out to a significant lead against the Miami Dolphins and be able to control the game, and then to have a mistake like a fumble going in where you could go up by 17 and then to just fall apart the rest of that game. It bleeds into the following week. Now you can't get a win. You run into a hornet's nest in Buffalo, and you look up, you're 0-3. You're fighting like the Dickens to hang in there against the Texans, and then their quarterback makes a play. So you're 0-4. Your quarterback doesn't have confidence. He was number 1 overall pick. He was hailed as a generational talent. He doesn't have confidence. You don't have anything to really build upon. This is about as bad or as hard of a offensive situation as you can find yourself.
They have a negative 49-point differential. So, I mean, that is not great for what we've seen thus far from the Jags. We'll see if they can get something turned around and get it rolling here. All right, let's go to the AFC West. Man, it's hard to find a surprise here. I mean, when you look at the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos, all 2-2, which that feels kind of about what the expectation was. Kansas City being the class of division at 4-0. I guess my surprise would be that even though they're winning games, and a lot of it, from this standpoint has to do with the injuries, but this is still, I mean, outside of one big play to Xavier Worthy, this is still not the Chiefs offense that I know they were trying to get back to. It's still a defensive driven team.
Yeah, I think that's the surprise. We thought that it would be back to the fun days, right? The days of Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, like really just blitz and pass. They haven't been able to do it. And Xavier Worthy's given them flashes, but he hasn't given them the consistency to be that playmaker. They just have to continue to wait for their other guys to grow up and show up and show out. But right now, if I am Andy Reid, I'm leaning into Steve Spagnuolo. I'm saying, hey, man, you got to keep the score down because I don't know how many we can put on the board on a court.
No doubt. All right, let's go quickly through the NFC. If we go to the NFC East, Washington, how many people thought Washington would be first place in the division right now?
Not me. How many people thought Jaden Daniels would play like an absolute rock star first time he's into the league? His emotional control, his composure, his patience, his discipline, the work ethic that he's brought. Look, man, I have to say I'm super impressed with what he's been able to do so quickly in Washington.
I think of Jaden Daniels, and you wear these watches, and it gives you your beats per minute when you look down at him, Buck. Like I almost wonder, like if you put him in stressful situations and hooked him up to a monitor, I'm like, does his heartbeat ever elevate? It doesn't feel like it.
So calm and so cool, and it's just another case, DJ, prioritizing and coveting experience at the collegiate level. 55 collegiate starts, significant. And look, there's a common denominator we've seen. Brock Purdy had 49 starts in college. Like there's something to playing the game, playing the position, and we all need rest, but there's something that these other guys have. It's interesting.
All right, let's go to the NFC North quickly. Minnesota Vikings, not the fact that they're 4-0, really not even the fact that Sam's playing well. I think we both felt like Sam would do well with Kevin. I would say Flores in this defense, even after having lost to Neil Hunter, the way that they're playing would be maybe the biggest surprise as they sit 4-0.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest surprise. And I think anyone who's an X and O nerd, you should really look at what the Minnesota Vikings are doing. They're doing a mix of pre-snap blitz disguise, post-snap movement that really befuddles quarterbacks. But then it's not only that, DJ. They're doing some of the stuff that Pat Narduzzi made famous first at Michigan State, but now at Pittsburgh in terms of what they call hot coverage or eyes coverage, where 2 under, 3 deep, they're bringing 6. When you bring 6, you're guaranteed to get someone free. And when you mix that with the ability to do these exotic drop 8 coverages, where you have 8 defenders in the box and you don't know who's coming, who's not, who's dropping in. This is a team that comes after you, but they play zone primarily all the time. He has been so creative in that I know he has lawsuits out and those things. I don't know how you can go through the next cycle and at least not kick the tires on Brian Flores for the job that he's done with the Minnesota Vikings and what he has also learned from working alongside Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, he's done a great job. NFC South, the biggest surprise there. I don't even know that there is one. I don't think there's anything too shocking by what we've seen there. I mean, really, that division is kind of it's kind of right where we thought it was going to be.
I would say the biggest surprise for me for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is that the clock didn't strike midnight on Cinderella, aka Baker. Yeah, because there's a bit of a concern that maybe this was going to be a little bit of a one-year wonder in terms of him playing really well there. But I'll say this, DJ, when you watch him play, man, his fingerprints are all on the game plan, all on the team, his confidence, how decisive he is as a player. Give him a lot of credit. It's another thing. We talked about Sam Darnold previously. It's amazing the talent that you can see and sense. And when you match it up with the right playmaker, right play caller, it just goes to the next level. Baker in Tampa has worked. Sam, obviously, in Minnesota is working. It took 7 years for us to get those reports right.
Came around.
But the environment matters, and it matters probably even more than some people give it credit.
NFC West, man, look, the Rams and the Cardinals at 1-3 apiece. San Francisco being 2-2, Seattle 3-1. And I'm going to get to Seattle and Geno Smith in a minute when I go through some of the individual players that will hit. But I would say, look, and Christian McCaffrey not being there, but San Francisco being 2-2, I think is a surprise.
Yeah, it's a surprise, but the Super Bowl hangover is real. And it's not just how everyone was lined up outside of Shanahan and John Lynch's office to get an upgrade on their contract, but some of the pouty, sucky behavior that you've seen from some of the guys who got paid. Brandon Ayuk got paid, but is still silently protesting on the practice field. Everyone's wearing black. He wants to wear red. It is the weirdest interaction that I've seen. A team rewards the player with the contract that he agreed to, and we're not even kicking off games, and he is already upset. Look, it's just such a weird situation in San Francisco that, I think that has to be the biggest storyline.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. So those are some of the surprises that we have team-wise. I want to get to some individuals, and we'll do that right after this. All right, Buck, I'm going to rip through these. Number one, Geno Smith is leading the NFL in passing yards.
Ryan Grubb is a G. He does a great job of creating opportunities. JSN may have tipped us off in terms of how excited he was about the new play call and what it was going to be. And basically, they've done all the great stuff that they did at UW. I can't even say taking it across the street, but took it across town, and it's working just as well in the National Football League. They've done a really good job of unlocking some of the things that Geno Smith is able to do and putting him in a situation where he can win each and every week by simply just playing within the confines of the offense.
So here's my question. I was on with Brock and Salk up in Seattle, and we were talking about Geno and maybe the lack of respect that he gets. Mm-hmm. And they brought up a good point, which was what happens, going into the future here. Like if Geno Smith says, I want $50 million a year, and he says, look what Tua's making, look what Trevor Lawrence is making, and look what I'm doing. Like at some point in time, it's like, hey, this went from a cute little, he's turned himself into a decent player to if he ends the season like this and he leads the NFL in passing yards, coming off of what we've seen, over the last couple years, like this is not something, that's a one-off here. Like he's put together some production here in Seattle, and he's done it with different coaches. And he's 33 years old, but that's not what it was. Like he could give you a minimum, like 4 really good years. How do you tell him no when he says, how the heck am I not getting what those guys are making?
Yeah, how do you tell him no? And how does he not look around and be like, you're crazy? If you're going to go and stay behind in the arms race when you have a veteran quarterback who knows how to play, who has succeeded in your system, yeah, good luck with that. Man, it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel for Geno when it comes to the money, because I'm trying to figure out, like, man, would I go above 50? But
that's kind of where the number is. Yeah.
It's the going rate. You have to.
They're going to lose their mind. People lost their mind when I brought it up. People lost their minds because I said my point was, hey, if Seattle's not going to give it to him, I know there's probably a few teams that will. And it only takes one. But I said, you think that, I know Andy Dalton's playing better right now, but you look at like where some of these teams are, the Raiders, you look at the Carolina Panthers. Like this dude 2 years ago was a Pro Bowler, right? That was the year he goes completes 70% of his passes for 4,200, 30 and 11. Last year comes back down a little bit, 65%, 3,600 yards, 20 and 9. But this year he's completing 72% of his passes. He's got 1,100 yards. He's got the 4 touchdowns, the 4 picks. But if you watched him and seen what he's done this year, there's nothing fluky about it. And they're a fun offense to watch. And I don't know. I would like to be Geno Smith's agent. And the other thing with him is this is not like he didn't come in with bona fides. Like, this guy isn't like some overachiever like Johnny Hustle here. Like this guy, he was the best quarterback in that draft. I know that I think E.J. Manuel ended up going ahead of him. Yeah, but he was a prolific college player who entered into the league and was in bad situations. And now on the other side of 30, he's found the right spot and he's been excellent. It's not a fluke.
No, it's not a fluke. And I just remember going and watching him play Texas that final year, and he just absolutely tore it.
Oh, yeah. I saw him in the pinstripe.
Just so many guys. And I think about so many players, Tavon Austin and Stanley Bailey, and just how good those West Virginia teams were, and they could bust the clock on people. But you're right. Geno Smith is putting together a strong little case to get paid, and he is going to do it because the one thing that we know, he ain't going to be without his money. He's done it. He's played the nice guy role for a long time. He's going to go and make sure he gets a fat contract this time.
All right. I'm going to give you 4 more stats, and then I'm going to let you pick one that you think is the most, surprising, impressive, whatever tickles your fancy here. Jordan Mason is second in the league in rushing yards for the 49ers. Nico Collins leads the league in receiving yards. Kyle Van Noy is second in the league in sacks, and Xavier McKinney's leading the league in picks. So your dealer's choice on that. What stands out to you?
There's so many. Jordan Morgan and the San Francisco 49ers, that stands out because as much as I love CMC, there's something systematic about the way that running game operates that a lot of people can have success. Undrafted free agents, non-notable free agents, like guys that are just unheralded.
Olandis Gary, is that where you're hitting me with?
Yeah, I mean, it just a lot of production comes out of that system. So that stands out. And I'll say this. Xavier McKinney getting 4 interceptions in 4 games. Man, don't change what you're doing. If you need to keep the same socks on, wear the same socks because he's living right.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. Nico Collins has been exceptional. And then Kyle Van Noy quickly. Watching his sacks, I thought, okay, well, it's Baltimore. Those sim pressures, he's going to get some clean run-throughs. There's a bunch of his sacks. He's got 6. I want to say 4 of them is just a pure 4-man rush of him just winning. Like, beating guys, winning with an inside spin, winning with a swipe, winning with a dip. Like, these are legit rushes. Kyle Van Noy's turned himself into a really, really, really good player who matches perfectly with what they're doing. But this is not some gift that he's been given by the scheme of the Baltimore Ravens. He's winning one-on-one.
Yeah, he is winning one-on-one, and you have to give him enough credit for doing that. And I think you also have to give the other guys credit when they deserve in terms of like whatever it is they're doing to make sure that the team is rolling. I love these little breakdowns. I love having these conversations because we get a chance to spotlight so many players that are doing well that people haven't paid attention to.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's going to do it for us today. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend of football. Again, a reminder, we've got the Jets and the Vikings on NFL Network and NFL Plus. That's 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Sunday morning. So a little football with your coffee there as the Jets and the Vikings, they square off in London. So be on the lookout for that. Appreciate you. See you next time right here on Move the Sticks.